Great. All right. And we're back with the MiLLENNiALish podcast. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. I first of all just want to say how excited I am that we're back and we're actually doing this thing and we're here to stay. Like, we're literally here every week. Tune in on the weekends and let's do this. It is Duma.
And this is Roma.
And today we are actually talking about narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder. So let's actually talk about the definition. So narcissism is excessive or erotic interest in oneself and oneself's physical appearance. So by definition, this is what narcissism means. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with like where it actually came from or derived from, this term narcissism, but in the Greek mythology days, there was a hunter and his name was Narcissus, and he actually fell in love with his own image. He became obsessed with his own reflection in water, and actually, he was so obsessed that he couldn't move from, the river where he was, and he basically diminished from there. And the story is that his body disappeared, and the narcissus flower was the only thing that was left.
And apparently, he made people who visited him commit suicide.
Yeah, he was so good-looking, so beautiful that he actually disdained others, and people would have to commit suicide and just like sacrifice themselves for his beauty. So when he came to the river, obviously it was his reflection, but he had no idea. And since he couldn't receive the love back, it wasn't reciprocated. That's why they say he just diminished, and there was nothing left but the flower. So narcissism is basically being obsessed or, just really self-centered to the point where you don't really have any regard of anybody else's feelings. All you care about is yourself. You are so self-centered that you make up lies and deceive others just to get them to get your side of the story. You manipulate. So sounds like every LA guy out here, right? Or even girls, okay, just to be fair.
Yeah,
some of the girls. Most of these LA critics out here. Okay, so now let's talk about basically where narcissism can come from. And just like any other disorder, this all starts from your upbringing and your childhood. And believe it or not, narcissism, like one of the main factors or reasons that narcissism is, brought about is from overvaluing children. So parents that basically make their kids believe that they're better than others, or they do everything for them and don't let them make decisions on their own. Kids that are basically sheltered. They have no rhyme or reason. Everything is done for them. They don't have any responsibility, but they're constantly being complimented for something that they, haven't really earned the recognition for.
Yeah, I think you're going to touch up on this in a little bit, but it's starting to make sense how if you have a parent who is kind of isolated in that way, then like that's all you know, and you sort of kind of pick up that same behavior from your parents.
Yeah. So here we are thinking, we're treating our child like the prince that he is or the princess that she is, but really we're creating narcissistic individuals here.
Babies, narcissistic babies.
Exactly. So it's more than just a spoiled brat. Now we have children that feel entitled. They feel superior. And this is like, can be described as arrogance. These children feel special. They feel like they are just so much better than the next child that maybe an average kid doesn't really understand them. So narcissism goes really back to when you're born. All right, so narcissistic behaviors. So people that are usually narcissistic, they come off as manipulative, cocky, selfish. A lot of these people, actually in today's society, they're like the baller. They're the one with the Mercedes or the Bentley. They're the ones wearing the Louis Vuitton. They're the ones that, are getting the 1,000 million likes and all that. And to a certain extent, it can be okay. So actually, let me touch on that. There's actually good narcissistic traits, which basically mean that, you want to win. You want to be recognized for your achievements. You want to look good. And, that's okay. That's actually okay. But it becomes a problem when you want so much that you're lying to others, you're deceiving others, you're manipulating others. And now you're hurting other people just to get what you want. So that's when it becomes a problem, and it's basically described as narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. And it involves a pattern of self-centered, arrogant thinking and behavior, a lack of empathy. So basically, another person can come to you and tell you about their problems, and a narcissistic person would just, they would say, okay, well, yeah, but you want to know what I did today? I actually went and climbed the highest mountain in San Diego. So they really have no empathetic feelings. That just means they can't relate to the next person's feelings, basically. And they always need to be admired, constant need of compliments. They just think they're superior, and that can be an issue, obviously. And one thing that I want to tell or talk about is that a lot of people are involved in narcissistic relationships, and they have no idea. So a lot of these girls that I see are complaining about their guy, and the guy's making them feel like they haven't done this, or it's them. Girls, you are dating a narcissistic man who is basically making you feel like crap, and you're going out of your way. You're changing your hair. You're changing your career. You're changing the way the way you dress. You're getting rid of all your friends to please this man who's never going to be pleased, essentially. You're lowering your standards to be with this guy, but we have no idea. So a lot of these women are depressed, and basically, you're a worried beezy out here.
It could happen to guys, to girls as well.
Right. That's true.
Check out this video then.
So, what can we do, and how can we determine if this person is narcissistic? So in a narcissistic relationship, the guy or the woman will essentially turn the blame on you. So if there's a problem in the relationship, if there's an issue, essentially they never take the blame. So they always find a way to blame you for what's happening here. They might emphasize on your flaws. So say if you forget it's their birthday, they're never going to let you forget that it's their birthday. And then they'll even blame it on you having a career. They'll say, well, wow, you're so caught up in your career. Like, you need to give everything up and you need to be focused because here you are neglecting my needs and it's all about me. And I feel like that's why some of these women, they give up their careers and their lives to please their guy. But in reality, when you're in a relationship, you should be able to coexist with one another. I shouldn't have to give up my hobbies and my friends and my career just to please you. So that's another sign. Somebody that expects you to cater to them. And I feel like too many women nowadays are giving up their own lives to please these men because we feel like we need to submit. And yes, there is a certain extent of submission when you're a woman, but when you start feeling like less of a person, that's when you know, like, hey, there might be a problem here. So narcissistic people, they feel, grandiose. Like, they feel like they are unique. They are special. They have an unrealistic sense of superiority. They have a sustained view of oneself as better than others. And, they feel like they're too good. And that they only want to be associated with things that are, of high status. People, places, they want to feel very exclusive. And I feel like a lot of times in Hollywood, like, that is the lifestyle. So there is a borderline. Western society, we actually breed narcissists. So in LA, especially in Hollywood, we actually reward this behavior. So no wonder it goes untreated. No wonder half of LA is narcissistic, suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. And no wonder we're all suffering essentially as a whole, whether you're the victim or whether you're the narcissist. Like, we're suffering, people. Like, we're trying to go get the best car. We're trying to get the best clothes. But it's not just that we look good in these clothes. Like, you want name brands. Like, everyone's trying to get freaking Bugattis and Bentleys and,
Gucci
Supreme.
Gucci.
Exactly. Like, come on. I don't know where I got this from, but I like it. And I don't care if anybody else is wearing this, but if it looks good on me, that's what I care about. That's beside the point. So
that's fine. That's healthy, but it's when you start manipulating the people around you. And the thing is, narcissists, they probably don't want to be narcissists. It's just they're just stuck in that behavior, and they kind of need a reality check in a sense, or someone needs to tell them. But if they're not told, then they'll just like that.
So narcissistic people, they're still human beings, obviously, and actually it's sad because these are people that were probably traumatized as children, and they were traumatized so badly that they've actually blocked out these certain events or circumstances, that they've had to create this image of, this grand person who is the perfect person. So a lot of narcissists actually are good looking, they're charming, they're, very outgoing, they're confident. So,
or not,
well, no, they appear to be that way, actually. Yeah. But in reality, they're not. They're really not.
Because if you're isolated like that, then you're really not,
Exactly, because they actually have a perception of reality that's very untrue. It's very unrealistic. So their perception of reality is actually that, they're better, obviously, and that, everything revolves around them. So that's how you point them out, or that's how you can pinpoint. So a narcissistic person would basically make up lies. So they're very inconsistent. They will tell you anything and everything just for you to side with them. So anything from, basically saying that, hey, I'm a Navy pilot, even if their dad's in the Navy. But they will say that they're a Navy pilot because, some of it is true.
That's a charlatan.
Or a narcissistic person will say, hey, I speak 3 different languages. Or, I'm like super busy person, and, since you want all of my time and I can't give you all of my time, you must not be used to dealing with a super busy person. So it's you. It's not me. But all along, they're probably carrying on multiple relationships or basically lying about their whole life. And if you question them, they're going to make up these grand lies that are going to fit within their reality. And whenever they're talking about their accomplishments or anything that has to do with them, they're always going to seem like the hero of the story. They're going to make it seem like, oh, my coworkers are so lucky to have me on their team because, because of me, we were the first in our team and we got this done and it's all because of me. And, something's always just because of them. Like, everyone should be feeling lucky because they're in their lives.
Yeah, and if you're bosses or your superiors act this way, it's like okay, you know. But we as a society shouldn't be okay with that, you know, if they exude this kind of behavior.
So essentially, they manipulate us to a point where we start thinking that something's wrong with us. So narcissistic behavior will involve making the other person feel like they're crazy or that everything is going wrong because of them. So, like at work, for instance, you know, if there's your boss, for instance, and they ask you to work on a project and you do your thing and you give it your all, and let's say the boss forgot to mention a little tidbit that could be like, you know, a big thing in a case, like in the legal field, for instance, and you go there and you present your whole argument, your whole case, and then, you know, you miss this little fact, which essentially could present the whole case, you know, mess everything up. So they come back, and instead of taking the blame and saying, hey, I forgot to tell you this piece, they will say, wow, you know, you fucked up this whole case, and it's all your fault. Like, how could you been so neglective? You know, you're worthless. You will never work on my team again. But really, it's them. So they will never take the blame because it's too painful. So whatever they went through,
I think a true narcissist they'll do both. I mean, they might disparage you, but at the same time, they'll do something where, you know, it's like, hey, it's manipulative, you know. So they're not gonna just outright just like call them out, but they'll like manipulate them, you know.
Yeah, they will emphasize on the mistake rather than the miscommunication. And yeah, they will make you feel worthless. And they will only do that to take the attention off themselves, because essentially narcissistic people are very insecure. And whatever happened to them, you know, they're very shameful of that, to a point where they contain their true problems, or they block them out. So they're either hide their problems or they forget about them. So that's why they paint this perfect picture, and they don't want to deal with anything else that's, you know, come about, because it takes them back to that tragedy, that trauma, that incident that led to all this. You know, they could have been molested. They could have been totally neglected, or their parents could have, you know, expected way too much to where they've lied to their parents their whole lives. So this really derives from childhood. So essentially, narcissistic people are, you know, they're hurt. So I almost want to feel bad for these type of people. But then again, once they become adults, it's just like they become monsters. So really, you cannot feel bad for them. And but there's another side, because a lot of us, well, not me, but a lot of women are married to narcissistic men, or a lot of men are married to narcissistic women, or we have narcissistic parents. So it's not just as easy as, you know, detecting the narcissistic behavior and then, you know, cutting them off. Some of us have to actually live with these people. So, you know, we would have to be able to identify it and then figure out a way to get along with them. And the only way to do that is basically, you know, changing your own perception. So it is pretty difficult. So if you're somebody that's dealing with a narcissistic person that you can't just cut off, what you have to do is kind of like walk on eggshells. You can't talk about certain things. You can't criticize. You can't bring up certain topics. You have to be very strategic with your conversation. You have to be very strategic with, you know, everything, actually. Everything has to be planned around them. So there is a way, which I'll touch more onto that, but right now I want to actually talk more about, you know, how they act. So going back to that, narcissistic people, they feel very entitled, and they feel like, you know, everybody should cater to them, that they deserve special favors. So they will make you feel like your needs don't matter. And if you bring up your career, if you bring up, your needs and wants, they find a way to take the attention away from that. And that's not okay. And that's not normal. And I feel like a lot of these relationships are like that.
Yeah, we're just one-sided.
Exactly. And you could potentially be in a narcissistic relationship. So, it takes a lot of guts and courage to actually sit there and evaluate your situation. No one wants to be a victim. No one wants to actually say, yeah, I'm a victim to a narcissistic personality disorder person. Like that I'm with that person, This is the person I'm sleeping with. This is the person I'm sharing all my thoughts and my, opinions with. Like, we don't want to actually come to realization with that. So it's hard.
Yeah, it's a tough, I don't know, it depends on the case, I guess.
Yeah, so if you're a person who has low self-esteem, more than likely, you're going to be susceptible. Thank you, Duma. Yes, which means that you'll be more inclined to these type of relationships. You'll be more accepting because you yourself have low self-esteem. You have no self-worth. You think that this is normal. You think that putting your needs to the side is normal. So to kind of go back on our first episode, self-esteem, confidence of oneself. Like, you have to have self-confidence in order to even get out there and function. So yeah, right now we're talking about people with low self-esteem. They're more than likely to deal with these situations.
Yeah, I think someone who has a good sense of their self-worth or good self-confidence, just they would not, they wouldn't be affected by a narcissist, I don't think.
Right. So, like, how do we change that? Unfortunately, when you're a narcissistic person, it probably won't reverse. And that's mainly because a narcissistic person has blocked out that trauma. They've worked so hard to block out whatever happened to them that they won't even think about it. So how can they change that? They can't. So the only way
But the only way to change that, they would have to, it has to be them who confronts, whatever issues in the past that kind of may have led them to be narcissists in the first place.
Yeah, so essentially they would have to commit to, their healing. And this is why a lot of narcissistic treatments fail. Because they'll say, a narcissistic person realizes, like, oh my God, I have these issues. I'm belittling other people. I have no sense of empathy. I don't care about anybody else. Let me go to therapy. So they go to therapy, and then all of a sudden their therapist all of a sudden challenges them. And that's when, narcissistic people do not like to be challenged. They don't like to be called out. And ultimately, they can be like, okay, that's it. The therapist fucked up. I'm not going back. So it's like a cycle. Like, they never get fixed. So narcissistic personality disorder, usually there is no treatment. But as a person who's dealing with somebody like that, what you can do is point it out, but very subtle. So say if, you find your partner or your friend, your coworker being inconsistent, or you realize, like, okay, they're being delusional right now. What you can do is just, make it kind of like a joke out of it. So you point it out, but you do it very subtle in like a joking manner. And they'll probably be more receptive to that. But if you bring it up during a time where, it's kind of heated, I think that would end in like rage and potential physical abuse even. So you have to be very careful. It literally is like walking on eggshells. So if you want to actually deal with a narcissistic person, you have to change your entire perspective. You have to change your life and mold yourself to this person. So I understand, some of us may have narcissistic parents, or we may be married to somebody like that. And it's not as easy as, like, let's just get a divorce, or, hey, I'm going to find new parents. No. We have to learn to coexist with these people. And the only way to coexist is to change your own perspective. To come meet them at their own level.
Well, it's for you to first have some sort of self-confidence to not be fed by that narcissistic attention, and then you any negative behavior, any negative narcissistic behavior that you see, you can't react to that. I'm thinking more about this in like a, I don't know, parental situation, but
yeah, because narcissistic people, they don't realize, like, in their mind, this is reality. They are better. They can do no wrong. So no matter how much you try to reason with a narcissistic person, they will never understand. So really, you have to realize you're dealing with a person who's oblivious to the facts, to reality. They're superior.
But at the same time, they are in a lot of pain. And then once they realize, well, hopefully they come to a realization that, this isolating, manipulative behavior is not sustainable, And then they themselves have to come around to want to make a change. But I don't, other than that, I think it's hard for you to change them,
Exactly. So you will not be able to change a narcissistic person if you want to deal with them. I mean, you'll know, because if you point out certain things, and if the person isn't defensive, then okay, this is a person that may want to change. But for a narcissistic person, once you point out their flaws or their inconsistencies, they get very defensive. They deny. In fact, they make up more lies to, take attention from whatever it is that you're pointing out. So that's when you know, like, okay, is this a narcissistic person that's willing to change, or, are they stuck in their ways? And there are actually two main types of narcissistic people. One is a grandiose narcissistic person, and the other one is actually a vulnerable narcissistic person. So, I've been talking more about the grandiose version, but the vulnerable one would actually, act as if they're helpless. They're always the victim. They need to be reassured. They need to be picked up all the time. And
so then them two will go together then. That seems like a perfect marriage, right?
There we go. So basically, if you're a narcissistic person, you need to find a vulnerable narcissistic, a grandiose and a vulnerable.
Terrible. That would be the worst relationship, But
takes one to know one.
So from what you're saying, because I've never heard of this before, but from what you're saying, the vulnerable narcissist, so that is just someone with low self-esteem then, right?
Well, essentially, all narcissistic people have low self-esteem.
Okay.
They're actually so ashamed of who they really are that they have to create this image of, like, a god. So they see themselves as, like, a superhero. Like, they're just the best, and that they're, like, the rulers. And a lot of them are very charming. They come off as that. Like, it might be the guy who's, like, wearing all the Supreme gear. It might be the guy who's driving that new i8. It might be the guy who has that perfect body. But the moment that he makes you feel less of a woman, that's when you know. So me personally, I've been exposed to these type of situations, but I've gotten so good at reading energies that, I just don't engage in it. But unfortunately, I am a human. I'm not perfect. I'm not an alien from Mars who just does my own thing.
Well,
or I could be. I'm just kidding. Okay, anyways, back to topic. Unfortunately, yes, we are human beings. We have feelings, and, we get attracted to these type of people, especially in LA and Hollywood. It took me a while to grow out of that, actually. in the beginning, yeah, I used to be like, oh wow, you know, like look at the flashy gear, look at this and that. Until I started growing as a person, reading, and just realizing that that's not what it's all about. And just dealing with these people and like not getting that full satisfaction, you know, I kind of sailed away from it. But a lot of these girls now, or even just Instagram, you know, we glorify this type of behavior. You know, the gear, the Balenciaga, the Gucci, you know, whatever, all this shit that I don't even get caught up in. We want that. And a lot of narcissistic humans, they have all the nice things. And if you don't have the new Gucci shoes or the new, whatever the new trend is, they'll say, oh wow, oh well that's unfortunate, you know, you don't have the red bottoms, or, and they belittle you. So that's not good. But then that makes the girl just want to like go out there and like, you know, impress this guy, and it's just a cycle. It's a cycle of just terror.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's just hard to pinpoint, you guys. So if you've been a victim to a narcissist, you know, don't feel too bad. It's just like learn from it and run the hell away. Like if you're with a narcissist, run the hell away, because ultimately there is no happy ending. There really isn't.
Yeah, unless they can somehow work on themselves, but it's pretty much impossible to actually change them, you know, from the outside.
Yeah, and they're really good at like finding people. So like narcissists will.
Well, they have to find people. That's, yeah. Without people to manipulate, they feel really sad.
Yeah, they're like such master manipulators that they know the type of person to target, and what they do is they use a tactic.
I mean, maybe some of them do. The high
Well, to a
functioning
certain
ones do,
extent,
but
they're
maybe
intelligent people because they know how to manipulate. So it takes a certain type of individual to manipulate another human.
But
so they're
is it possible
intelligent
for them to be kind of stuck in that manipulative behavior but not know that they're in it, you know?
Yeah, because they have no idea that they're hurting somebody. So essentially manipulating a person is, you know, lying to them in order to gain your own outcome. And a narcissistic person has no empathy. So they don't realize that they're hurting you. And even if you express that, they say, oh, okay, you know, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. But they have no idea what that feels like. So a tactic that they use is called love bombing. And that means that, you know, in the beginning to get you, they will, you know, shower you with compliments. They will give you these great gifts. And, you know, they'll lure you in. They will, you know...
Will they give you candy?
They will give you candy. They will cuddle you. They will do Netflix and chill. You know, whatever the hell you want, they will freaking do that until you are submissive. And now they feel like they've gotten you, and now they can manipulate you and they can get whatever they want. And another tactic that they use is called gaslighting. You know, gaslighters are masters at manipulating and finding the people that they know will stand by them no matter what. And they use these people actually against you. So basically, say if I'm in a relationship and I'm questioning my narcissistic boyfriend, he will go find his friend who pretty much, you know, he's manipulated, and he will come in and he'll validate everything that the narcissistic boyfriend's saying. So then that will make me, you know, the girlfriend, essentially feel like, oh my God, I'm crazy. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So they actually take their lies and their inconsistency and they flip them. And they make you feel like you're the crazy one. And it makes you feel like you can't trust anybody. And then you start to question your own sanity. And then here you are, this intelligent woman, finding yourself depressed.
Well, I'd say if it comes to what you just described, then you gotta go, man.
But how do you know that? How do you know that you're a victim when now you've given up all your friends, as a lot of these women do? They stop seeing their girlfriends because the guy's like, oh, you're gonna go talk to her. She ain't got no man. She's hating. You just need to sit there and I'll be home whenever I come home, even if it's 4 days later. Honey, I'm part of the CIA, okay? You have no idea. I'm over here saving lives. And we're just like, my man, he's out of town right now. He's saving lives. But all along, he's down the street screwing freaking, Jasmine, the hoe bag. Like, really? Wake the fuck up. You saw the story. You saw his fingernail in that story. You know he's over there with Jasmine, freaking feeding her pineapples and strawberries while you're at home thinking you're crazy. That was his fingernail you saw. I'm just saying, I know you don't relate to that, but this is what girls do, okay? They go on these Instagram things and they go looking for stuff.
Well, I'd say Instagram is a cesspool of narcissism.
Yeah.
But thanks for checking us live on Instagram.
Well, no. For us, we're trying to bring awareness. So it's like, I'm not going to lie. I was a narcissistic person and I hurt somebody.
And everyone is to a degree, Everyone has a little bit of...
But yeah, there's healthy and there's not healthy. Unhealthy and healthy. So healthy is just the need, the want to just, do good. To be recognized. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm lying to the next person just so I can be more recognized, that's wrong, you guys. That's fucked up. I shouldn't be lying to my friend or making her feel like her project is like not as good just so I can get recognition for mine. So essentially, a narcissistic person will go, the extra mile to gain whatever, to basically get the outcome that they want. They will crush, they will lie, they will do whatever the hell they need to do. And overall, they make you feel like you're the crazy one, you're wrong, I'm right, and that's just what it is. You need to listen to me, you need to do this. They make fun of people. So say if you're vegetarian and the narcissistic person is not, they will tell you you're too skinny. Oh my God, you look like Skeletor. You need to eat this meat. Oh, it's filet mignon. How could you not? Oh, you must be a worthless piece of crap if you don't know what filet mignon is. And you're just a person that doesn't want to fucking kill a cow. So now you find yourself eating meat. You're doing all this shit to impress the guy, but all along you're just a victim.
Yeah, you're a
Wake
victim
up.
of just like silly games, I guess.
No, that's exactly what it is. It's horrible. And no one knows it's a problem, like we said, because the Western society is known for rewarding narcissistic behavior, like actors and like these sports stars, they get praised for looking the best or, being the best. So in reality, the Western society is breeding narcissists. So it's so hard to actually realize that, you're a victim to this or that you're suffering from it. So living in America, I feel like we are either suffering or we're a victim of narcissism. This is why I thought it was so important to talk about it.
Yeah, you're definitely on one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of sports athletes, like I think a prime example would be like, for instance, like Michael Jordan. Like he's obviously really talented, but he was very narcissistic as well, and people really love that about him, and it kind of bred an entire generation of athletes who wanted to be like that, and that's. But the thing is, for instance, someone like LeBron James, for instance, just kind of disproves that kind of narcissistic image. Like, you can be a great athlete without, just exuding narcissistic behavior. And
Really?
He's kind of, I think he's kind of.
I like
breaking that
Steph
mold.
Curry.
Yeah, him too.
I just want to say that.
I mean, yeah, these new generation of ballers are. It's refreshing to see that not all of them want to be like Mike, you know, because like for a long time that was what was the best, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what you're saying. It's kind of bred that way in society.
Oh, it really is, especially in Hollywood. But you know who I really like is Angelina Jolie, because I feel like even though she kind of started with that whole image to where she was like the bad girl and, you know, kind of like manipulating people. Like after she took Brad Pitt. Well, she didn't really take Brad Pitt, but Brad Pitt ended up with her. But I feel like she kind of switched it. And then she started showing people like, look, you can look good and, you know, you make mistakes or you may come off as a certain way, but it's important to get out there and to help others, especially when you're in that position. So she essentially, you know, took all that negative attention, you know, after the whole Brad Pitt thing, and she, you know, became like this ambassador for like third world countries and stuff. So yeah, there are ways to switch it around. You know, once you find yourself in that predicament, you can turn it around, but you have to want to be able to do that, or you have to have the need to do that to actually change.
No, you have to want to do that. Which often comes because it's needed because everyone's fucking telling you to change.
Yeah, but I feel like people have such low self-esteem that they don't really bring it up. And it sucks. It really, really freaking sucks. I feel like half of the women are in these relationships and half of the guys are dealing with it. Or half the girls are narcissistic women and these poor guys, they keep dealing with it, you know, and they get labeled as like tricks, or they get labeled as the nerd or the dumbass. And really, he's just a nice guy trying to please his woman. You know, and this bitch is over here freaking fucking everybody because she was neglected as a child. Her mom was a hoe. Her dad wasn't around. Or maybe mom was just, you know, too attentive. Mom didn't teach her how to freaking fold her clothes or do anything. And now that we have this woman running around just, you know, fucking up all these good guys.
So do you think that only children are more susceptible to being narcissists?
Well, that's where it starts. Yeah, it starts as a child. It's hard for like an adult to just all of a sudden become a narcissistic human because it starts as a child. You're either overvalued or you're neglected. So if our parents are, you know, never taught about this because they were undervalued or overvalued, like it's just a cycle and it never ends. And then, you know, so then now we're standing in line for 4 hours to buy these shoes because we want to be accepted. Or now we're lining up to buy this Supreme shirt. And nothing's wrong with Supreme. Nothing's wrong with lining up for things you want. But if your entire life is based around this, you're losing, people. You're freaking losing. I'm sorry. Line up to freaking, you know, line up to go do something more meaningful. I don't even know what, but I don't even get a line. So I feel like, you know, if there's a line, maybe it's not for me.
Skip the line. Just get the end. Yeah.
I'm following the path of least resistance. So all I'm saying is that I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. If we're in a relationship, it's compromise. It's equal. Yeah. I'm not saying that, you know, the woman wears the pants or that, you know, one person is better than the other, but the woman has a role, the man has a role, and we work together. But if your man is making you feel like, you know, you don't deserve any other friends and he's all you need and you need to give everything else up and you find yourself, you know, just doing everything to please him, you're probably in a narcissistic relationship. If you're feeling bad about it. Now, if, you know, this person is like changing you and helping you become a better person, that's different. But it only becomes a problem when you feel bad and it's hurting you. So that's when you can, you know, rule it out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a relationship and you get that inkling that, I don't know, you just get that feeling where it's like, oh, something's not right. You should probably listen to that, or like, at least follow that.
Yeah. Because a narcissistic person's gonna make you feel like they're your main source of everything, and they want to be the center of your world, and that's not true. I don't care if you're married. I don't care if you're in a committed relationship. It's not healthy to be just with that one person. That's not healthy. So for all you girls that got married and don't call me anymore, that's fucked up. I'm just kidding.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm happy for you girls. And shout out to my girl Christy, who told me some great news, which I won't put you on blast. But yeah, thinking about you, girl.
Cool.
Anyways, so just to cap it off, I mean, just like a recap, hey, if you're in a relationship with a person who, just needs to be admired all the time, and all they care about is themselves, and you find yourself just catering to this person all the time, and there's not about you, take a moment, think about it. Is it healthy? Are your needs being met? Because at the end of the day, you are what matters. Yes, we need healthy relationships. Yes, we need partners. We need friends, but you are alone in this world. You came in this world alone. You have to go answer to God. Once you die, your spirit leaves. You're accountable for you. And even if you don't believe in that, what about your time here on earth? Like, shouldn't you be able to do things that make you happy? And if your partner's not encouraging that, they're not the right partner. And if your parents are neglecting you or overvaluing, there comes a point where you do realize that. You realize, oh shit, my parents didn't teach me a damn thing. Take initiative. Go learn. Go tell somebody. Ask for help. And narcissistic people are monsters. And I feel like women are fully capable of having careers. We don't need to rely on anybody else. And if a man makes you feel like you are nothing without him, he's wrong. And that's the main reason why I live my life the way that I do. Because nobody is going to make me feel like I need them just to survive. Yeah, when I get married, it's going to be my choice. And it's going to be a mutual agreement. Not because I need them or they need me, for a specific thing. No, it's because we've decided to come together and evolve together and help each other grow. Not because I want to ride around in your car just because, you got all the best gear, just because you look good. No. Like, it all has to match up. Get in a relationship because they help you grow. Not just because they make you look good. Because at the end of the day, looks don't matter. They help, Yes, I know me looking good does help. But at the end of the day, it's not all that I have to offer. And it's not all that you have to offer. So remember that. We are humans. We have thoughts. We have our own thing. Thoughts have thoughts too. Just because you have a big booty and, or just because you just look very beautiful or, just whatever, doesn't mean that you don't have a valid opinion or that, you don't have likes and dislikes. Your thoughts matter. Speak up. And if you're hurting or if your needs are being neglected, that's not a relationship. That's torture.
I agree.
Yeah. Friendship, anything that has a ship at the end of it, if you're not getting anything, abandon that ship, okay? Be on your own. You'll be okay. Pick up a book, get onto my podcast. Do something.
Build your own self-worth.
Yeah. Invest in yourself. And that's all I have to say today, because I don't want you guys arguing with your narcissistic partners tonight. But I just want you to think about this. And I want you to maybe make a list. And I want you to write down, this only applies to certain people. So if you're somebody who's finding yourself in a situation where you always feel bad, make a list and write down all the great things that your partner contributes, and write down all the great things that you contribute, and then make a column of where you guys are giving each other the recognition, where they're saying, hey, I appreciate you folding my underwear and putting them in the drawer, or are they just not even noticing that? You spend all your time, folding the socks a certain way, folding the shirts and doing this, and the person doesn't even fucking care. That's not right. You deserve to be recognized for folding that shit. Right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Duma?
I feel you.
Anyways, so yeah. This is a serious thing, you guys. Call somebody. Get the help. You can do this. You don't need that guy just because he has a fucking Bentley. You don't need her just because her ass is huge or because she can twerk all over because she has 1 million followers. No. There's somebody out there that will like you for you and help you enhance your life. You can do this.
Yeah. Go manifest it.
Anyway, so thanks for tuning in, you guys. I would love your feedback. If you have any questions or concerns, or if you have any ideas, or if you were a victim, or if you think you're a victim and you're not sure, talk to me. A lot of these things that I talk about, I've actually had to deal with personally. So I will talk to you and I will give you my honest opinions. Duma, he's actually very experienced, and,
I'll do the same.
Yeah, we're here for you. Talk to us. All right, until next time. Well, unless you have something to say, because that's my narcissistic ego taking over.
No. Yeah, until next time,
Are you sure? Because your feelings matter,
No, I think I added everything I need to add.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
He's trained. I'm just kidding. You guys. But yeah, no matter what, when you're working with somebody, whether you're in a relationship, you guys are doing business, or whether it's all in one, just make sure that everyone's needs are being met. We are all humans. We matter. Each one teach one. And remember, if it's on your mind, it's currently under manifestation.